The jungle was breathing again after centuries of silence. The mist clung to ancient trees like ghosts of forgotten battles, and deep beneath the swampy floor, something massive stirred. For 60 million years, Titanoboa, the serpent that once ruled the world, had slept in darkness, its colossal coils buried under the earth. But now, drawn by the vibrations of a new ruler's roar, it began to awaken. In the distance, King Kong stood atop a shattered waterfall, chest pounding like thunder, his amber eyes scanning the dense green abyss. The balance of nature was shifting again, and the jungle whispered of war. Kong had long been the guardian of Skull Island's heart, a beast both feared and revered. His connection with the land ran deeper than roots. Every tree bent toward his shadow, every creature bowed at his footsteps. But lately, the earth trembled with something unnatural, cold, slithering power that didn't belong. When he first saw the ripples slicing across the river like silver blades, he knew the rumors were true. The serpent of legend, the nightmare from the dawn of time, was alive, and it was coming for his throne. Night fell heavy and thick, drowning the jungle in ink. The sound of rain softened, replaced by a low, dragging hiss that crawled up Kong's spine. He turned toward the riverbank, where the moon's reflection twisted violently, then shattered. From the dark waters emerged Titanoboa, scales glistening like molten bronze, eyes glowing a merciless gold. It was longer than a train and thicker than the trees around it. For a moment, even the storm paused, as if nature itself held its breath. Two kings had met, one born of fury, the other of eternity. The first strike came without warning. Titanoboa lunged forward, its jaw wide enough to swallow a jeep, striking Kong's arm with bone-crushing force. Kong roared back, his voice echoing across the entire island, a sound that made birds drop from the sky. He swung his fist, connecting with the serpent's skull, sending a shockwave through the ground. The jungle exploded into chaos, trees fell, rivers split, and thunder rolled overhead like drums of war. This was no mere fight for survival. It was destiny, ancient and unrelenting. Kong's rage burned hotter than the lightning that split the sky. He tore a boulder from the mountain and hurled it into Titanoboa's coiled form, shattering stone and scale alike. The serpent screamed, an inhuman sound that curdled the air, before tightening its massive body around Kong's chest. The pressure was unimaginable, even the great ape gasped, feeling his ribs crack under the serpent's grip. But Kong's heart refused to break. He slammed his head into Titanoboa's jaw, forcing it to loosen its hold, then ripped free with a roar that shook the heavens. Blood, dark, steaming, ancient, dripped onto the ground, feeding the roots below. The jungle seemed to awaken, sensing the primal energy of their battle. Titanoboa slithered higher, using trees as leverage, wrapping itself around the canopy like a living storm. Kong climbed after it, his massive hands tearing through bark and vine. From above, lightning painted their silhouettes, two titans locked in eternal combat, their shadows dancing across the sky. For every blow Kong delivered, Titanoboa responded with crushing coils, the fight escalating beyond nature's comprehension. For a moment, Kong hesitated. Through the chaos, he saw the reflection of his own rage in Titanoboa's golden eyes. This wasn't just a battle for dominance, it was an echo of evolution itself, the old world refusing to die, the new world refusing to yield. Kong understood then that the serpent wasn't evil, it was survival incarnate, just like him. But the jungle could not serve two kings. He clenched his fist, his roar splitting the heavens once more, and leapt. Their clash erupted into fire and thunder. Kong smashed Titanoboa through a cliff face, sending rocks cascading like meteors. The serpent retaliated, striking with a speed that defied its size, sinking its fangs into Kong's shoulder. Venom spread, dark and searing. Kong stumbled, vision fading, but his will burned brighter than pain. With his last ounce of strength, he seized the serpent's neck, wrenching it upward, and slammed it into the mountain with a force that split the earth itself. When the dust settled, silence returned. The serpent's body lay still, half buried under rubble, its eyes dimmed. Kong, breathing ragged and bleeding, stood over it, not as a conqueror, but as a guardian who had defended his world. The rain washed his wounds and the jungle exhaled, alive once again. The serpent's legend would fade back into myth, but its spirit would forever haunt the roots of the island, whispering of the day the earth itself shook. For days after the battle, the jungle whispered with awe and fear. Storms came and went, washing the blood into the roots of trees that would remember this war for centuries. Kong slept under the hollow of a fallen mountain, his wounds still raw, his strength slowly returning. He dreamed of Titanoboa, of its burning eyes and its desperate will to live. Even in defeat, the serpent had been magnificent. Kong felt no triumph, only a deep ache in his chest. The world had lost one of its oldest warriors. And though he had won, he sensed that peace would not last. The earth beneath Skull Island began to quake again, not with fury, but with rebirth. Deep inside the serpent's resting place, faint movement stirred. The Titanoboa's body twitched, its flesh turning pale, dissolving into the soil. From that decay, strange energy pulsed outward, sinking into the jungle's veins. The serpent's spirit was merging with the land itself. Trees began to grow faster, thicker. Vines glowed faintly under the moonlight. Kong felt it too. The jungle was changing, and he wasn't sure if it was becoming a paradise or a trap. Kong wandered through the forests he once ruled effortlessly, but they felt different now. The air hummed with an electric vibration, and the once familiar sounds of monkeys, birds, and insects were replaced by an eerie calm. The river water shimmered an unnatural green, reflecting strange light even under heavy clouds. He paused at the edge of a cliff and looked down. The valley that had been scorched during his fight was blooming again, too fast, too unnaturally. Life was returning, yes, but it was wild, uncontrollable. Titanoboa's essence had awakened something ancient within the earth. For days after the battle, the jungle whispered with awe and fear. Storms came and went, washing the blood into the roots of trees that would remember this war for centuries. Kong slept under the hollow of a fallen mountain, his wounds still raw, his strength slowly returning. He dreamed of Titanoboa, of its burning eyes and its desperate will to live. Even in defeat, the serpent had been magnificent. Kong felt no triumph, only a deep ache in his chest. The world had lost one of its oldest warriors. And though he had won, he sensed that peace would not last. The earth beneath Skull Island began to quake again, not with fury, but with rebirth. Deep inside the serpent's resting place, faint movement stirred. The Titanoboa's body twitched, its flesh turning pale, dissolving into the soil. From that decay, strange energy pulsed outward, sinking into the jungle's veins. The serpent's spirit was merging with the land itself. Trees began to grow faster, thicker. Vines glowed faintly under the moonlight. Kong felt it too. The jungle was changing, and he wasn't sure if it was becoming a paradise or a trap. Kong wandered through the forests he once ruled effortlessly, but they felt different now. The air hummed with an electric vibration, and the once familiar sounds of monkeys, birds, and insects were replaced by an eerie calm. The river water shimmered an unnatural green, reflecting strange light even under heavy clouds. He paused at the edge of a cliff and looked down. The valley that had been scorched during his fight was blooming again, too fast, too unnaturally. Life was returning, yes, but it was wild, uncontrollable. Titanoboa's essence had awakened something ancient within the earth. The next morning, the peace shattered. Kong was drinking from a stream when he heard it, a faint hiss, echoing from beneath the ground. His chest tightened. He turned slowly, scanning the forest with sharp eyes. The soil trembled, and then the ground erupted. 1,000 smaller serpents slithered out of the cracks, their scales glinting with the same golden hue as Titanoboas. They were not full-grown titans, but offspring of something born from energy and vengeance. The jungle was no longer his kingdom, it was the serpent's legacy reborn. Kong's heart pounded with fury and confusion. He smashed one serpent after another, his fists thundered in the trees, but for every one he destroyed, 2 more emerged. The jungle itself fought against him now. Vines coiled around his legs, roots lashed like whips, and the once loyal creatures of the island now watched him with fear. It was as if the spirit of Titanoboa had spread through every living thing, binding the jungle under a single will. Kong roared, defying the impossible, but he knew that brute strength alone would not save him this time. High above the chaos, a storm brewed again, only this one glowed with golden lightning. From the center of the sky descended a phantom shape, massive and shimmering. Titanoboa's spirit had returned, its eyes burning brighter than before, translucent but terrifyingly alive. The serpent's ghost circled Kong, its voice echoing through thunder, not in words, but in feelings, pain, loss, vengeance. It wasn't after the jungle anymore. It wanted redemption. It wanted to prove that even death couldn't take its crown. Kong stepped back, chest heaving, his heart torn between anger and respect. For the first time, Kong didn't attack. He stood tall, rain dripping down his scars, and raised his hands, not in surrender, but in recognition. The spirit halted, hovering before him, its golden form flickering like a dying sun. Kong grunted softly, as if telling the ghost that the world was big enough for both of their legacies. For a heartbeat, the thunder stopped, and the serpent's eyes dimmed with understanding. But the jungle, fueled by ancient instincts, wouldn't allow peace so easily. Lightning struck between them, and the battle began anew, flesh against spirit, beast against legend. Kong swung with all his might, his fists slicing through the phantom's form like waves in water. Each blow sent ripples through the storm, shaking the heavens. The ghost struck back, wrapping him in cold energy, draining his strength. His roars turned into cries, echoing through the mountains. Yet something inside him ignited, a primal fire older than memory. He slammed his chest, summoning every heartbeat of his ancestors, and released a roar that shattered clouds. The phantom screamed as its form began to tear apart, light breaking into 1,000 shards that fell like stars into the jungle. The jungle lit up as if the heavens had fallen to earth. Every tree, every stone absorbed that light, glowing softly. The serpents vanished. The air became warm, calm, alive again. Titanoboa's spirit had finally been freed, not defeated, but released. Kong stood in silence, chest heaving, the rain now gentle. He knew that he hadn't destroyed his rival. He had restored balance. Nature wasn't meant to have a single ruler. It thrived when chaos and harmony danced together. He looked toward the horizon, where dawn began to rise once more. As the golden light of morning spread across Skull Island, Kong sat atop his waterfall again, gazing into the endless jungle. His scars burned, but his soul felt lighter. Somewhere, deep within the earth, the serpent's spirit slumbered peacefully at last. The jungle had its guardian once more, but not a conqueror. A protector. The legend of their war would echo for eternity, whispered by wind and river alike. And if you felt the pulse of this ancient battle in your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because every roar, every myth, and every monster deserves to be remembered.